Krueg and the coach on a Saturday. We're rocking and rolling, talking some Niners. How does the depth chart look post-draft? We get into it an awful lot. Welcome. Hope everybody's going to enjoy this. Let's go. Off and running on a Saturday. It's the Krueg Show and the coach. Co-streaming on a Saturday, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out, so get there early, get some brisket chili. Also, the Krueg Show is presented by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Prize Picks is super simple. You just pick more or less on player stats or game outcomes and build your lineup. It's available in most states, including California. So if you haven't checked it out yet, use code HMA. And when you play $5, you'll get $50 in lineups instantly. Thank you to Prize Picks. And we probably could put Prize Picks, there we go, on the board. There you go. Play $5, get $50 instantly. Use code HMA. Thank you to Prize Picks. All right, we're off and running. The coach is here, back by popular demand, and the audience is fired up to see him for sure. And of course, you know, even though the draft is come and gone, we're not going to talk. We're not going to say that word REACH. We're not going to talk about draft position. We're not going to talk about good deal, bad deal, draft this, draft that. We're really going to flip the card and start looking at the depth chart and what the draft produced and how the new depth chart looks. And, of course, we'll take a lot of your questions and comments in the chat. We always love to hear from you guys. And we'll try to work in the chat throughout the hour plus. We'll probably go hour plus. Coach, good to see you, man. How are you?
I feel great, man. Been doing really good. We got the draft behind us. Now we're actually to Niner football, the business of seeing how this draft class is going to fit into our depth chart. Looking who got strong, looking at who got weak. It's time for us to really get battle stations together. We got real football around the corner, Larry. I'm pumped.
Yeah, seriously. Well, let's just jump right into it. And, you know, it's always good to show people the depth chart so they can kind of take a look at it and understand what we're talking about here. So this is the 49ers depth chart. And we're going courtesy of Our Lads, which they do have some pop-ups here. We'll have to get out of the way. But here's their depth chart on offense. Here's their depth chart on defense. Here's their depth chart on special teams. And even on the bottom here, you got the GM, the head coach, the OC, the DC, the special teams coordinators all listed on the bottom. All right, let's start with the offense. Why don't we just start we'll just go right down. We'll start on the offense. We'll start at quarterback. And, you know, this is probably one of the most settled quarterback situations in all of pro football. The Niners have a very clear quarterback room at the top of the depth chart. It's Brock Purdy as your starter. It's Mac Jones as your clear number 2. And then you've got 2 young quarterbacks that they like. And I don't know if they're slated 3-4 or 4-3, but either way, Adrian Martinez, Curtis Rourke, Adrian Martinez. Coach, first thought is just, you know, it's a deep group of quarterbacks. You got 2 starting caliber quarterbacks that are, you know, really solid and they can run your system and they're in their prime. You've got Martinez and Rourke. I think, you know, the competition that we're going to see in camp is going to be very, very good and in the preseason. You also have 4 quarterbacks. It's not like a lot of quarterback rooms where you got, you know, some guys in their 20s and some guys in their 40s or late 30s. You got 4 guys here who are all like, you know, 26. I think Jones is 27 and Martinez is 26. I think Rourke might be 25. They're basically all the exact same age. And I guess my first thought on it would just be, I like Adrian Martinez. I really think that he's going to be that third quarterback. He'll beat out Rourke. I think he's a much better player than people think. I don't think he's a throwaway. He played great in the UFL. He's a developmental quarterback with 4.5 speed who played at Nebraska. You know, I think he's smart. He's competitive. He was playing really good football in the UFL when the Niners signed him. Niners fans have yet to see him because he didn't play in preseason and he didn't play at all in the regular season. So we have really not seen him, but the Niners lost him to Detroit or to the Jets, but then wanted him back. And that right there kind of tells you that they really like him. So Martinez, Rourke, Mack, Purdy, give me your thoughts on the quarterback spot.
Well, it's Purdy's house. We love that. One of the biggest things that I'd love to see moving forward is Brock Purdy just taking over the helm and being the $55 million man. So first off, I'd love to see that. As far as backups right now, is that we have pretty much one of the most tried and battle-tested backups in the NFL, Mac Jones, coming in. I feel great about our top two depth as far as our quarterbacks are concerned. But the conversation right now that I see is between Martinez and Rourke. I'm gonna push back, Larry.
Okay,
Rourke. Yeah, I like Rourke, man. I love what he did in college. Yeah, it really is. But I really liked Rourke. I understand that we know that Curtis Rourke was the Maple Missile out of Indiana. We'll give it to him. Some of the things that you got to look at is what he's produced when he was in Ohio playing in the MAC. 2022, man, awesome year. Went for 244 completions out of 353. He had a 69.1 completion percentage with 3,200 yards passing and 25 TDs with only 4 picks. He's only had 21 career interceptions in college. He's only had 7, and that was in his sophomore year. Since then, he's had no more than 5, even in his last year at Indiana, which was also one of the best years that he put together, going 222 for 320, 69.4% completion percentage with 3,042 yards and a whopping 29 touchdowns that year. So I think that Rourke is somebody who came in, played on a bad ACL that we already know about. So he's tough as nails and he's got the process. And we already know what happens to quarterbacks who kind of get tucked away on this roster and are given a chance to learn the offense and matriculate and find their way. So I like Curtis Rourke. I understand the upside of Adrian Martinez. He has more of a pro-style resume. He's a grown man. He's actually somebody who can actually kind of give us some pop. You know, if our backs were against the wall and we had another NFC championship scenario on the road, I would right now in a vacuum. I'd be honest with you. I'd pull Adrian Martinez out to be our third quarterback just because of the time on task and the maturity alone. But if you're looking at somebody that can have upside, possibly somebody that could be a trade asset down the road, he's young, he's proven, and he's going to come with that Shanahan stamp of having the tutelage in this offense. I think not only is he an asset, but he's somebody with the youth and the upside that can help us down the road. So I'm a big Curtis Rourke fan.
I'll tell you, there's no questioning his toughness. I mean, the guy played a full college football season on a torn ACL.
Mm-hmm.
What? Mm-hmm. Yes,
yeah.
that happened. So this is a tough kid for sure. And to your point, I'm going to show a highlight here of Rourke. Now look at this pass. This is a kind of a grainy film, but I chose this rep because to me this is the whole deal in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anybody can do anything with a clean pocket. Here you're going to see a rep where Rourke gets pressured in his face, and he hits Surratt down the field here on just a perfect dime for a touchdown. And this is the kind of play. And I also think it's a huge advantage, Coach. You kind of referenced it. I think it's a huge advantage to come into the league and been given the red shirt year. Like Curtis, just go figure it out. Go figure out where you're living, figure out how you're doing your laundry, how you're getting to the facility, you know, when we're practicing, all of it. Our offense, you watch film, you talk to Brock, you talk to, Kubiak, you talk to Kyle. You got a year to just kind of absorb, no pressure, just at your own pace. I mean, that is the ideal setup, right? That's what most quarterbacks don't have. But look at this rep from Rourke.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to like this rep. Look at this. He has pressure in his face. Boom. Stares it down and teardrops it in there.
Dime.
It's a dime. And it's right in his face. He's got pressure right in his face. He ducks it, gets rid of it, puts it right on there. Had Surratt 2 steps ahead of the corner. Little stop and go. Left the corner. Dropped it in there. Perfect. Can't throw it any better. So, I mean, I'm just one rep, right? I'm saying the guy's got the ability for sure. We've seen
it. I mean, that's one thing that you love about something like that is the innate traits, right? That's fight versus flight. That's something that you can't really coach. It's how somebody's made. It's the fabric of a young man. So when you get that and you see it on a big stage and you get it at the quarterback position, it's something that you got to treat as an asset. So I'm a big Curtis Rourke fan. I think he can help us out down the road. And at the very least, like I said, be an asset for us down the road to see if we can do something with him.
I'm seeing if I can look up. I'm seeing if I can look up a little Adrian Martinez so we could see just a little bit of Martinez, and just get one little clip of Martinez. I don't know if there even one exists, and if it does exist, it's probably going to be from the UFL, which is okay if we can find a UFL. I've got him throwing just like before the game. I'm kind of an Adrian Martinez fan. I like this guy in college. He ran around and made some plays. I don't see any video of him. So I guess now we just
I got something right here, Larry.
Do you put it up there if you got it? Can you, if you can put it up there, or you put it in the thing and I'll put it up there. But yeah, Martinez is got 4.55 speed, and he's athletic. And he's really competitive. He's really smart. He was kind of raw. He came to football a little bit later, and this guy was like, Martinez in the preseason game was so bad I moaned so loud it woke the dog. Yeah, for the Jets, you mean? Because he didn't play for the Niners. Yeah, here we go. So this is UFL tape.
They exited the huddle. Here's Martinez over the middle, and it is to Sternberger.
Well, Jay Sternberger connection here. He's got the speed. He's got 4.55 speed. Yeah, I mean, this guy's got 4.5 speed. And he's got some decent size. He's really athletic. But he also has some pocket presence. It's not like he's just going to run around.
Deflected right into the hands of Jay Sternberger. Understanding they're doubling backside. Remember, coach.
So there you go. You got a little bit of a feel for Martinez. So overall, I would say it's a really good quarterback room, and one that, obviously Brock is the number one guy, but, you've got a situation where Brock's had injuries throughout his career. Now you've got a guy that if you do have injuries, I mean, even if Brock had something minor, I would say, hey, you know what? Throw Mack in there. Because I think Jones is really, really good. And then we're going to see a pretty good competition between Rourke and Martinez. I would say there's very little chance, Coach, that anybody else gets added to the mix. I think what you see is what you get. I don't think they'll bring in a rookie or a fifth guy or anything. Unless there's an injury, I think what you're looking at is what it's going to be. And we'll get, if you're a 49er fan, you got to feel good, right? You got two quarterbacks that you feel can start, and you got two pretty good options to compete in camp for that third spot. And maybe the loser winds up on the practice squad. Heck, I'll say this. The way things are settled in Indianapolis with Daniel Jones, he's got a torn Achilles. If Curtis Rourke, let's just say we come out in the preseason, Coach, Brock looks great. Mack looks great. Martinez looks great. Rourke looks great. They all look really, really good in the preseason.
I love it when you do this.
I'm just saying, just for the sake of it. And now the Colts call, and they say, you know what? We're not going to have Daniel Jones for a couple months. What do you want for Rourke? If he plays well in the preseason, I think there's reasonable ability that they might be able to move him. I mean, not that they'll want to, but let's just say they all play great, and they decide, we like Rourke, but we like Martinez. I bet you I don't think there'll be a market for Martinez, but I think there might be a market for Rourke. Let me see Indianapolis. I don't think Indianapolis. Who's
Anthony Richardson still on? Yeah. So right now they've got Daniel Jones at quarterback, Anthony Richardson Sr. as a backup, Riley Leonard as a third down depth guy, and Seth Heineken.
Yeah, from Memphis, who's really smart. That's a pretty good, decent quarterback room. Now they're trying to get rid of Richardson. They're trying to trade Richardson.
Of course. Right.
But I'll say this, man. If I thought Rourke was a decent player, but not – I mean, well, first of all, what do you think of Richardson? Richardson is maybe the most athletic quarterback prospect the league's ever seen as far as height, weight, and speed. He is a legitimate 6'4", 245, and a legitimate 4.4 speed guy. But he's also really raw as a quarterback. But he has shown some amazing things in highlights. but his feel's not great, and he needs more time. But I'll tell you, Coach, if at the end of the cut down, if Rourke looked pretty good but not great, and you thought he was a pocket passer, and the Colts called saying, "Hey, we'll offer you Anthony Richardson and a 5th-round pick," would you do it? I think I would do it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Anthony Richardson in a package on the goal line.
Yeah, I have a wild take up. I don't even think this is necessarily wild, but
go ahead.
Anthony Richardson, I think he's playing out of position.
What's his position?
I think he's an H. I think he's a tight end. I think that he needs to salvage his traits. He has a lot of great traits, and he needs to go ahead and Logan Thomas it, baby. He needs to go ahead and play tight end. I think that what you're saying right now is the truth, and really the biggest thing for me is it's not the injuries, it's not the processing, it's not even his arm, it's the feel. He doesn't have the feel of a quarterback. He's just disconnected, right? His feet don't match with his upper body. He's not necessarily an accurate passer, and because of his physical traits, he's going to be requested to do a lot of physical work inside of any offense that he gets in, a la Cam Newton, right? And he's nowhere near the type of quarterback Cam Newton was, right? So unless you want to take a lot of abuse just to stay at a position, I think that he needs to make a business decision and switch positions. I don't think he's a quarterback.
Do you think he's tough enough to play tight end? That would be the question I have. This guy took himself out of a game. Remember?
I knew my man was going to get me. Put up profit charts L26. I was waiting. Hey. I knew they was coming.
Prophet Charles. Oh my gosh.
Couldn't even keep profit out of your name to make it a little bit more credible.
Oh my gosh.
Brother,
that is unbelievable.
My bad for saying that a black quarterback needs to switch his position. Dude, I felt the same way about Tim Tebow. He needed to switch his position, bro. It is what it is, bro. Go touch grass. It's you too.
Scoring touchdowns in the red zone is a big part of winning championships, right? And the Niners are really good in the red zone, but they're really not good in the low red zone. Why? Because they don't move anybody on the line of scrimmage. So they got to fool you. They got to fool you with movement, or disguise, scheme. Yeah, they got to fool you. They can't just, they're better. As a Niner fan, I don't know what the numbers say. I'm just telling you my feel. My feeling is that the Niners are as likely to score on 1st and goal from the 8 as they are from 1st and goal from the 3. That 5 yards should make all the difference in the world. And for some teams that can power it in, like Philly with their tush push, 1st and goal inside the 5 is like a guaranteed touchdown. But for the Niners, it's like they don't push people. They don't move people on the line. I'd be interested in Richardson as just if you want to use him as a part-time H-back, part-time short yardage, but I think I'd like to have him in as some kind of a package on the goal line, because think about it. His size, his speed, his arm strength, it all creates space. And if you run him on if you use some, if you're trying to avoid Brock Purdy taking hits and you don't want Mac Jones to take hits, you could have a goal line package for a guy like that. I'm just saying let's think outside the box. Let's start thinking creatively. The tush push, I think, is interesting. And Anthony Richardson is a unique athlete. I always think, what would Bill Walsh do? Would he steer clear of Anthony Richardson? No, he'd probably have him on his team in some capacity, trying to utilize him in some way. So I don't know. I'm just saying, if Rourke plays if Rourke plays well, but not so well that you're like, oh my God, he's a Hall of Famer, this guy's going to be great, but just pretty good, but not good enough to really, challenge Mac or Brock. maybe you flip him, and maybe you don't flip him for Richardson. Maybe you flip him for another team for a draft choice, whatever. But Richardson is intriguing to me for sure. Do you want to move off quarterback or we?
Yeah, real quick. No, I mean, what's interesting enough to me about what you mentioned about red zone is that we did fairly well in red zone as far
this year.
Yeah, right. NFL team red zone scoring attempts per game. We were at 3.6, ranked in 2025, 8th overall in the NFL. Right. If you want to go ahead and look at red zone scoring, red zone scores per game, we were at 2.4 scores per game, 5th ranked in the NFL. And if you also want to go to red zone scoring percentages, touchdowns only, we ranked at 65.2% in the red zone, and that was tied for 4th in the NFL. So really what's crazy is I think that let's ask a question.
Yeah.
Are we a slave to process instead of results, where we get so caught up in how it looks being done that it muddies the fact that the result or the goal was actually accomplished, right?
No,
so,
I think the results are the rule of the day. And so, yeah, you could argue that the Niners are a good red zone team based on last year because Christian stayed healthy and Brock is very accurate, and they got it done in the red zone last year. I mean, they scored touchdowns at a really high clip. But if you look at the years previously, or any year that, anytime it seems like McCaffrey's not there, they really do struggle in the red zone. I think they're going to be better in the red zone with Kalen Black. And we can get to that when we get to running backs here. Let's move to running backs. Our friend our friend John Middlecoff has a video out on the what's it called? The volume, I think it is. Yeah, he's on the volume. And he's got this to say on Kalen Black, and then we'll get into Kalen Black. Now, we're not going to discuss this, but this is his angle on it. We'll just hear his angle, and then we'll wait a second. Hold on. Just had it, and I just hit the wrong button. There we go. Okay, here we go. We'll play this little soundbite, and then we'll talk running backs. Here is John Middlecoff, former NFL scout, a Niner fan, talking about his perspective on the whole Kalen Black controversy during the draft.
I think the problem I have with the Niners, and specifically Kyle, they don't cluster players. Titans knew the group of 2 or 3 players that were 100% going to be there, and they got the pick of the litter. By the time you get to the 20s, you're definitely playing a guessing game, especially in a draft like this. The Niners do not operate like that because coaches inherently think about 2026, the season, where Les Snead pounding the table for this quarterback is thinking about the next decade. But the one thing GMs are pretty good, and a good GM should be good at, is understanding the market manipulation of the draft. I like Black, the running back they took from Indiana. Kyle Shanahan said he was a second-rated back on their board.
Crazy.
Saw that quote, I immediately text a couple teams. Is it insane to have the Indiana running back as the number 2 running back on this year's draft board? Everyone that responded said yes. That's where I think, going back to Kyle Shanahan, some of these GMs will manipulate the draft. They know, hey, if I want this guy, I got to trade up. I know I can get this guy, I can trade back. I don't think the Niners really think and operate like that, especially in the later rounds. When you put stuff out there, which I respect, you're being extremely transparent. You do bring some potential heat on you. Now, this is where Kyle can get by. He's really good.
All right. I thought that was interesting, and I wanted to hit it because that there's this, hey, this guy was number 2 on our board. Okay, well, first of all, the Niners didn't have a pick until 27. So technically, I think there's a very good high likelihood that Jeremiah Love wasn't even on their board, because Jeremiah Love went in the top 5, and there was no chance he was going to get to them. So it would be ridiculous to have him on the board. So I would guess now, just by comparison's sake, Kalen Black was Dane Brugler's RB10, right? So he was the 10th running back on the board. If you say he's the second, I guess you could say Jadarian. I'll say this, Coach. I was in the war room, or in the conference room across from the war room, when Kyle and John came in on Friday night or Thursday night, and they both had their eyes peeled to Seattle and didn't look particularly happy when Jadarian Price went to Seattle. Okay. So I would say this.
I saw that interview.
Yeah, and I would say that Jadarian Price, I would guess that if we had Kyle Shanahan here and he was like, we're a Kyle, how could you possibly have Kalen Black as your number 2 running back on the board, as John just kind of went into there? I would guess he would say, well, we didn't have Jeremiah Love on our board at all because he wasn't going to reach us. So we had Jadarian Price first, and we had Kalen Black over Mike Washington because they did take Kalen Black over Mike Washington, Emmett Johnson, Katron Allen, Jonah Coleman, Damon Claiborne, Nicholas Singleton, Eli Heidenreich, the 9 running backs that Brugler has in front of Kalen Black. The Niners took him in front of all of them. They took him second behind Jadarian Price. So I think basically on their board, they had Price number 1 and they had Black number 2 over Mike Washington. Now, if you say, why is that the case? How is that the case? Mike Washington had 10 career fumbles. Kyle Shanahan literally picked up Brian Robinson the day after this summer. Isaac Rendo fumbled 3 times in practice. Kyle Shanahan hates fumbling to such a degree that if he sees it, it's like he just runs from it. And I just think that Mike Washington, who is, I think, the better prospect, to be honest, probably was lower on their board because of the fumbles. That would be my guess. But I thought it was an interesting quote there from Middlecoff. And I understand where the Niners are coming from there, because my guess is you can't have Kalen Black in front of Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price. They were 1-2, and they both went in the first round. But I think he's basically saying, hey, we had him number 2 because we didn't have Love on our board, and we went Price and then Black. That would be my guess.
Okay, so
what do you think?
That's fair to say that the reason why he was number 2 is that we had certain running backs not even on our board to begin with. Right. So that actually kind of shrinks down the aggregate of what exactly is their guys, their scouted guys. And
I get crazy after that. It's not quite as crazy.
Yeah, it's not quite as crazy. You softened the blow with that explanation, definitely. What does strike out to me about this, though, is that the value and understanding where the value is at 90 with what you believe Kalen Black to be to your organization versus how he's perceived in the overall market, and how do you leverage that? So at best, you're shrewd enough to understand who your guy is, but at worst, you're not savvy enough to acquire him in the best way possible. And that still counts on draft day, right? Kalen Black can come in.
Opportunity cost, right? Opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost is a big thing. So Kalen Black, I believe that was kind of like the turn of the draft where everybody started really looking at all of these picks as the reach alert was on, right? Because that was the most egregious pick that stuck out to everybody. As far as I see it, Kalen Black is the draft is over. So talking about the value of where he stands right now really doesn't fit into how he's going to impact the roster now. So look, they also the precedence around the pick that matters too, right? It's not as if he was just some running back picked in the 3rd round. This guy's got a whole body bag of running backs in a closet that we have had for years. So it is something that we definitely need to look after. I do believe that he can help us out in the stretch. I also think that I do want to give Kyle credit. I think that Middlecoff is right. Kyle doesn't owe us an explanation. He really doesn't. And he didn't have to be as transparent to tell us where they had Black on the board. So one thing that I will say is that by him exposing that, it's going to be really hard for you not to get any type of production out of a back that you literally had number 2 in the draft. So I'm ready. I'm kind of holding his feet to the fire. I'm ready for Kalen Black to play.
We had somebody in the Kyle fumbles everything.
I saw that too. That was fire.
Kyle. How about this one? I'm a big Kodak Black fan, man. I got transporting. I got transporting in my my Apple Music.
Word.
That's one of my songs there. So I'm down with Kodak Black. All right, look, Scott McLuhan. I don't know if you saw the McLuhan piece. It's a really good one, by the way, Coach, and anybody should check it out. It's Matt Barrows sitting down with the former Niner GM. It's on The Athletic, so it's behind a paywall. So for those of you who can't get behind the paywall, let me just share a little bit of this with you. Scott McCloughan does an annual piece every year, Coach, where he sits down with Barrows and talks about the draft picks, right? And this year he only saw 2. He only saw Stribling and Black, and he really liked Stribling more than Omar Cooper. But this is what he said about Black. He's like, he called Black a solid backup. He thinks he's a backup. He just doesn't have the it factor, McCloughan said. Everything's above average, but nothing's really good. And he split time in Indiana's backfield, and that coach Cignetti is not going to split time if they've got a legit back. McCloughan said he wasn't concerned that Black only caught 8 passes. He was far more prolific as a pass catcher at JMU. He had 44 catches in 2 seasons. He said the quarterback was so good at Indiana, they had receivers too, that he would pinpoint. And, Frank Gore didn't have many catches coming out, and he could catch the shit out of the ball. McCloughan then goes on to say that he liked Black's toughness, especially in the way he broke tackles and finished runs. This is a great stat, by the way. 646 of Black's 1,034 rushing yards came after contact. I mean, that's really what the guy does. I mean, that's really who he is. But anyway, he goes on to say, I wasn't negative on Black, McCloughan said. It was just he's not a starter. I would have rather taken an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman or a corner or a big wide receiver because they were on the board still. I think the 49ers could have waited to take Black, but still to each their own. If you like somebody and you've got the pick and he's on your board, take him. So, and then he points out that he thinks Jadarian Price is better than Jeremiah Love, and said that, this is what he said about Price. He says, I'm telling you, Price is going to be a better player than Love. I think he's Nick Chubb, who we took in Cleveland and who was really, really good until he blew his knee out. Thank you, Minka Fitzpatrick, by the way. So, okay. McCloughan kind of describes Black as a backup. And I do understand that. He played a part-time role at Indiana, but I think this guy, I love the player. I understand why the Niners fell in love with the player because he's got tremendous heart. He's got tremendous drive and his power in his legs. I think he's going to be a very good short yardage runner. I think he's a better receiver than he ever demonstrated at Indiana. And I just think that he's going to be, Coach, and I know that it takes a lot of trust from both Kyle and Bobby T for running backs to get on the field, more so than trust at other positions. If Bobby T doesn't believe in you, you don't get on the field, period. And he doesn't care. He doesn't care about, you're going to run Christian into the ground. Then he'll run Christian into the ground. He's not putting you on the field if he doesn't believe in you. And I think it has a lot to do with your blocking and your ability to not make mental mistakes. I think Kalen Black is going to be really good. Jordan James, I don't know. Garendo, I really don't know. I mean, he's the most talented guy who hasn't done anything. And then I kind of like Sincere McCormick. You also have Patrick Taylor there. Juice is coming off of, I think, his best year in a while. How do you see the Niner backfield?
All right. Even after this entire conversation,
yeah,
you're going to look at me crazy, but I got Kalen Black as our runaway number 2.
I do too.
I think it's not even close. What we really have here is a workhorse back. That's what he really is. He just doesn't have the miles on him, which is cool. It's all right. Everybody's got to take a truck off the lot sometime. So you don't got to judge him by his mileage. All right. But that is something that the only thing that worries me about him, right, as far as what he is. Now, if you want to take him as your number 1, do all everything back, then we can have tons of conversation about what he isn't, right, and what he can't do. But as a number 2 back, he's pretty much going to be the strongest dude that we have on this team, and he's going to make a name for himself in the NFL after a lot of film that I've been watching. The only thing that really gives me a knock on him is that he's never carried the ball more than 186 times in a single season. All right, so that leaves some questions there on whether he can handle volume if we ever put a full load on him. He's a little undersized, all right? He's 5'10" in cleats. I'll give him that. But that 210 is legit. He's every bit of 210. All right.
He's jacked. He's strong. 415 bench, 500 pound squat.
25 rep on 225. Okay. So he's a grown man. Yeah. Speaking of being a grown man, he's 25 years old. So let's not forget about that. But let's get into the good stuff. Runs with extremely low pad level, and he makes it really incredible. It makes it really hard for defenders to knock him off balance. One thing that he majors at that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, Keelan Black, his center of gravity and his balance. He has so much power in both legs independently. That's something that is very rare in running backs. Usually they got a strong leg and they got a weak leg. They got a cut leg and they got a drag leg, a pivot leg. This guy can get it done from both legs. It's something that's rare. He's got a lot of balance. One thing that also is going to help us with this offensive line is we don't hear about with Keelan Black is his patience. He's got a lot of patience in his game. He sets up blocks really well. He's decisive. He attacks daylight quick. All right. This dude's got a slow to fast through burst that you wouldn't believe if you really pay attention to it. He's the type of player where if you're not into nuances of the game, if you're not into the nuance of the position, you're going to miss it. If you're just watching him run the ball and you're looking for the Jeremiah Love highlights, if you're looking for a spin or hurdling the guy or breaking out for home run speed, you're going to miss it. You got to really get your eye together watching this kid. All right. He generates serious yardage after contact. Go look for that and see how much you see it in majority of his runs. Larry just talked about 600 and change of his career yardages, yards after contact. One thing that is also going to happen that's going to get him on the field quickly, that is the same thing with Dejon Stribling. This kid can pass block. This kid's going to be a second guy on the level in the backfield, helping out Brock Purdy. He's a willing blocker. He's aggressive. All right. We're talking a little bit of Clinton Portis aggressive for those who know ball. If you know, you know. All right. He's that aggressive. And he's got a reliable ball security with only having 5 fumbles over nearly 500 carries. So he's somebody that's also going to protect the rock.
Here he is blocking, by the way, as coach is talking. There's a video out by Josh Norris. This is all Keelan Black blocking.
Yeah, he's a force. All right. And the thing that you got to love about him is that the lateral agility. Can we talk about his feet? We talked about his balance, his contact balance, being able to be poised and stay low center of gravity. He does not have a problem with his pad level. But I'm telling you, dude, if you look at the lateral agility and the quick feet, how he redirects, he's got one of the prettiest jump cuts that you're going to see. He exploits backside lanes like no other. He's going to be able to find out where he wants. I could see why Coach Turner wanted him. Keelan Black is going to be a force in this offense, and he's already as strong as the number 2 guy here. He's a grown man, y'all. He's a workhorse back. I'm excited for him.
Yeah. No, I there's a couple of a couple of his traits are off the charts. Like, give you an example. He's got great power in the lower body. And you saw it in the jumping. 37 and a half inch vertical, 10.5 on the broad.
Come on.
That's big time lower body explosion. Then you also saw 27 reps of 225. That's a freaking ton for a running back. So he's really strong. He'll block. But also the 153 on the 10-yard split, he'll hit the hole. He's quick. So to me, this is a really, and he's a culture player. He's tough. So looking at the Niners on the depth chart, we'll move this off the screen for a sec. Looking at their depth chart, at running back, I kind of see, so McCaffrey, Black, Jordan James, and Juice. Those guys are going to make the team. So really it's about Garendo against Patrick Taylor, against Sincere McCormick, against any other back they bring in. And they may bring in one more this summer. I could see another back being in camp for one spot. Who's going to get that spot? They're going to go with 5 backs, most likely. McCaffrey, Black, Jordan James, I'll just say for the sake of the conversation, gets a spot, and Juszczyk. Though I really don't think James is guaranteed a spot. Like if they brought in another back and he looked great, or if Garendo or McCormick, one of these guys looked great, I don't think. I mean, Jordan James was a 5th round pick. He wasn't like there. Oh my God, you can't cut him loose. You took him in the 2nd round. So I think Jordan James will probably make the team, but I think it's going to come down to Garendo, McCormick, and Taylor for one spot. And McCormick is a small back, but he's very efficient. Garendo's a big athletic guy who can help you on special teams, possibly. Taylor, also a special teamer, but a little bit more dependable special teamer, maybe a little less high end than Garendo, but maybe a little bit more, maybe assignment sound. He's a little bit more of a veteran. I don't know. But how do you look at that backfield? Do you think how do you grade out that backfield, and who do you think gets that last spot?
Well, right now, the leader in the clubhouse right now is Isaac Guerrero because of the returnability and what he's done on special teams. So Isaac Guerrero right now seems to be leading that fight. Patrick Taylor obviously has the veteran nod, and the familiarity with being trusted to actually run in the offense. Isaac Guerrero had a little bit of a blip in 2024, but he really hasn't seen the backfield since, as far as carries are concerned. I really don't know that much about Sincere McCormick, so I don't want to speak out of school about him. But for me, I just think that being able to be utilized in the 53 is the biggest thing. Isaac Guerrero as a returner, that's something that I think they really trusted him with this year. I don't think there was ever, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but was there ever a segment of the season where he got demoted, or I don't remember Isaac Guerrero fumbling or anything like that. I just think that he's already got that built-in role.
3 times in practice, and then they brought in Brian Robinson, and then I don't know, he just didn't get very many looks. I mean, it's like they know he's got athleticism and they don't want to cut him, and he's, but at the same time, they didn't have a role for him and they didn't develop a role for him. He really had no role as the year went on. I just wonder how much confidence they have in him, but it's a new year. He's had a year to learn the system, get acclimated, and I think he's a guy I'll be looking for a lot this summer because, I mean, we're talking about one of the most athletic guys in the entire team.
How many of the guys on this roster do you think that were here for more of their traits are scared now, or expendable rather, now that we've brought in this draft and this free agency? I kind of get the feeling that before we had a lot of runway for guys like Jacob Cowing and Isaac Guerrero and Ricky Pearsall, because we saw that, hey, this is in a way, this is our future, right? They got the most potential juice to help us out along the way. But now when you got UDFAs like Will Paulin and walking in, and you got your guys that are coming in with speed now. You got Deshaun Stribling coming in here now, and the Niners bringing in other speedsters and guys with more traits and offense. Where I don't know, is the writing on the wall for these guys like Jacob Cowan, like Isaac Guerrero, like Ricky Pearsall, where it's like, dude, the fact that your traits is what we used to kind of give you the mulligan, that's not here anymore, because, we have guys now. We're slowly but surely becoming a faster team, right? We got a lot more speed. That's one thing that I know you've been talking about for a long time, which is the Niners need speed.
No question.
They need to be faster.
To me, there were the 2 things that the Niners got out of this draft, that are undeniable. They got a lot deeper and better on the defensive line. They added 6 different guys, if you include Osa in there. And then they got a lot of speed at wide receiver. And we'll get to wide receiver, but we'll go from running back to tight end, because tight end to me is one of the most interesting spots for the 49ers. And by the way, just finishing up on the running backs, I like that group of running backs. I'll really be looking at Guerrero and Jordan James this summer, because I think you're right. You hit on something there, Coach. That's totally right. There is this underbelly of what we'll call scholarship guys. I'll call them scholarship guys. Curtis Rourke, Jordan James, Isaac Guerrero, Jalen Graham, Jacob Cowing,
Willis.
I mean, all these guys that were drafted in past years and were carried on the roster as backups, and now there's new draft picks and new options, and there's a whole kind of underbelly of guys there that it's go time. It's absolutely go time, and we'll see.
And I like it.
Yeah, it's great. Competition is what made this country. All right, I'm going to share the screen because I've got, I think, an interesting thing as we move to tight end. We're moving to tight end now. This is one of the most interesting things that I think has gone underreported. I don't know if you knew this, but I'm going to show it to you. This is interesting. The 49ers didn't just sign Khalil Dinkins from Penn State. They also gave him a deal that includes $275,000 guaranteed. That's what they had to do to beat out the other teams to get Khalil Dinkins to sign with them. That's a lot of money guaranteed. I believe the most the Niners have ever guaranteed anybody was like Evan Anderson, where he got like 280, I think, thousand guaranteed. So this is almost this is close to the most they've ever guaranteed a UDFA. I really like Khalil Dinkins as a player. And I think this is let's talk about the tight end spot. The tight end spot is very interesting because you've got George Kittle, but he had tore the Achilles in January, and he's talking about week 1. And to me, it's like that. I wouldn't even give him a helmet until November. Then you got Tonjes. Tonjes is a really good receiver, but he doesn't move anybody in the run game. He's not a blocker. He doesn't have that lead in his pencil, as they say. Luke Farrell was billed as a blocker. I thought he was very disappointing as a blocker. He's not a receiver. He's got stone hands, not a runner, so he's got to be a blocker. And I thought his blocking was okay. Then there's Braden Willis, and one thing they won't ever tell you is that once upon a time, Braden Willis was a gold helmet guy. Like, oh yeah, Deshaun Stribling's a gold helmet guy. Oh, but by the way, Braden Willis was too. So now, granted, one guy was a 2nd round pick, the other guy's a 7th round pick. But Willis, they like him, and they like him as a guy, and he's a good guy, but he's not quite what you're looking for as a tight end. He's not quite what you're looking for as a fullback. He's kind of like a combo. Is he an H-back? Is he a fullback? Is he a tight end? If he's a tight end, he's a receiving tight end, but he's not a dynamic, hit the seam and burn you kind of a tight end. He's more of a solid hands guy. He doesn't move anybody in the run game. In fact, I would call him deficient as a power blocker on the line of scrimmage. So I don't think much of Braden Willis. And then Hayden Rucci was signed at the end of last year as a kind of a stash away free agent. I think he went to Penn State. Pretty strong kid. But now they signed this kid, Khalil Dinkins. And Dinkins is I think a dude. And he's got strength. Just give you an idea about he's 6'4.5", 251 pounds. And he's been good at everything, but he's been great at nothing. On the field, his best thing is he's a blocker. He's a really good blocker. He had a 1.69 10-yard split. He had a 4.7 240, 32.5-inch vert, 9.11 broad. He did have 25 reps of 225. And I will share the screen and show you this one rep of him as a blocker, and you can see what he is as a blocker. And he's also a really good blocker in space. But this is on the line of scrimmage. Here he is sealing and then kicking and then getting to the second level. He's 16, I believe, off the edge. So he sealed that guy, and then he got to the second level.
I love he stayed connected all the way to the top level too.
Yeah, and you saw the way when the linebacker came across, he didn't really move at all. He just kind of absorbed that hit. So this is a big, powerful kid with long arms, strong bench, really good pass protector. There's one other highlight here.
You should see him run.
Yeah, here's the one if we have him running here. Now, here he is out front. Boop, put that guy in his can.
Come on, man.
And then ran him over. That's a corner or a safety.
Get him out the club.
Yeah, but that's a good block, man, and that's using your arms, and he's got strong arms, got long arms. And I'll tell you this, when I watch this kid's film, I'll put it more on Penn State than him, that he wasn't much of a receiver.
Underutilized. George Kittle.
Yeah. He was on some of these Big Ten teams. Look at the tight end as an offensive lineman, and they barely at all. They threw Dinkins over 4 years, 46 passes. That's nothing. It's 10 passes a year. It's one pass. They basically throw it to him once a game. Once a game, they throw him a pass. Other than that, he's a run blocker.
I hate to even do it to you, Larry, but they threw him even less than that.
Was it
37 for 399?
Yeah,
he had 14. His career high was 14 passes back to back in 24 and 25. He had 5 catches in 23, and in his freshman year, he had 4 catches.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
So this is a spot where, if you look at the 49er depth chart, it's easy to sit there and go, you know what? They really could use a tight end. But they also have George and Tonjes and Farrell signed, and they just paid almost $300K for Dinkins, and it's all guaranteed. So I would say it's going to be Tonjes, Farrell, and Dinkins week 1 with Kittle. Obviously, still, Kittle should not return week 1. Don't tell me it's the good Achilles. I don't want to hear about it's the good Achilles. You heard it in January. The guy's super valuable. He's like one of the faces of the franchise. Do right by George. Don't ask him to get out there. You need your Achilles. So I would say, what do you think, Coach? I mean, are you cool with Tonjes, Farrell, and Dinkins, or should the Niners, who have a lot of cap room, should they go after a David Njoku? Should they go after a free agent tight end?
No. Listen, we are the scheme of the schemables, baby, right? Like that, we scheme that thing up. So no, I don't think that tight end is a position where we necessarily need juice right away. One thing that I believe that is a little kind of got swept under the rug is that Jake Tonjes actually had a couple of good games for us. If you look at maybe like the first 5 games of the season, really 6, Jake Tonjes did a bang up job for us with 46 targets, 34 catches for 293 yards and 5 touchdowns. We're forgetting about him having a touchdown and saving our bacon in week 1 against Seattle, then turning around with Jacksonville and scoring, and then back-to-back with the Rams as well. So Jake Tonjes has shown time on task. Also, these games where we were utilizing Jake Tonjes were some of the first catches that he had seen in his career. So I'm kind of seeing that the Niners have a type. They love underutilized tight ends who have an upside in receiving, and they surprise the league with it when they pull it out in game days. So yeah, I like Jake Tonjes being there. I do believe that he can help us out, which what I talked about those first 6 weeks of the season when George Kittle was down and Jake came in and did a fine job. Like you said, Luke Farrell, they bring him in as a blocking tight end, but I'm not necessarily too thrilled with his blocking either, to be real with you. I do believe that there's a path for Khalil Dinkins to be the number 2 tight end, honestly. They just got to give him a shot. They really do. I love his stride frequency. Once you get out and look at him run, he doesn't run like he runs a 4.7. He gets up and down very quickly. He looks natural in space. He's not somebody that necessarily looks clunky. He tracks the ball well of the small menu of passes that we did see on him. On YouTube, you guys can check that stuff out as well. But I'm telling you, Khalil Dinkins, he can run. He's a good blocker. He looks really good in space. I think that you can use him as an inline tight end. And if you definitely get a package for him and actually see what he can do in his route tree, you could possibly get him in bunch formations. So I like Khalil Dinkins. I think he's really our number 2 guy, to be real with you, until George comes back.
There's a lot to like here. First of all, he was in line as the wide tight end 61.5% of the snaps. They ran a gap scheme, so he's going to have to learn a different scheme. But he's got strength as a blocker. His dad played in the NFL. So he's a second-generation guy, Darnell Dinkins. He was raised outside of Pittsburgh by his parents. His dad went undrafted in the 2000 draft. He played a minor league football role and then signed with the New York Giants in 2002 and carved out an 8-year NFL career. He played with the Ravens, the Browns, the Saints, won a Super Bowl in his final season with the Saints. So it's an athletic family. Khalil's older sister is an all AAC volleyball player for Tulane. His younger brother's a rising senior safety at Temple. So it's an athletic family, and this guy was a 3-star recruit, but he's already graduated. He's got his degree. He's got great upper body strength in the block as a blocker, underrated receiver. To me, as an undrafted player, there's a reason the Niners gave this guy almost $280,000. I mean, it's like, because they really like him. But I will say this: I would be on the lookout, because I do think between now and camp you may see some cap casualties at tight end. And I'll just say this: I'm fine with them going with what they have, but I also don't want to see them rush Kittle back. And if the plan is to rush Kittle back, I'd almost rather them go add another tight end and not rush Kittle back. That would be my thought on that. let's move to wide receiver, and we'll share the screen on the wide receiver front. I think this is an area where the 49ers are really, really interesting, Coach, because do you know that the Niners only have one returning touchdown at wide receiver from last year? Only
What?
of all the players they have coming back, the only touchdown they scored last year was a Week 16 Demarcus Robinson touchdown. No other wide receiver on the team scored a touchdown for the team last year.
You lying?
No, because that's it.
Wow.
This is what they got. They have Pearsall, he scored nothing. They have Watkins, he scored nothing. They have Bergen, he scored nothing. They have Cowing, Malik Turner, these guys scored nothing. Demarcus Robinson had one touchdown. So he's the only returning touchdown. But this is the group: Mike Evans, Ricky Pearsall, Christian Kirk, Deshaun Stribling, Jordan Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, Junior Bergen, Jacob Cowing, Malik Turner, Wesley Grimes, Colton Dowell, Will Pauling, and then you still have Brandon Ayuk. And who knows what's going to happen with Ayuk. I think Ayuk eventually will be released or traded at the cut down to the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I've said a bunch of times, I think Luke McCaffrey could easily be coming back for him. I also think that if the Commanders put Ayuk on their roster, if you look at their wide receiver depth chart, Luke may get cut, so he may wind up just, on the street. But this is interesting. I like what I see here. Why? You added two veterans in Evans and Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got five guys between Stribling, Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing, Will Pauling, and Wesley Grimes, who all run in the 4-3s.
Yep.
You did not have that. You did not have Stribling or Grimes or Pauling. Cowing didn't play. Watkins didn't play. You're adding five guys that run 4-3. If you want to throw Ricky Pearsall out there, in addition, you got six receivers that run 4-4 or faster. And last year you had none of them except for Pearsall. So there's a lot of speed here. And I'm telling you, I've done the deep dive on Wesley Grimes and Will Pauling. Wesley Grimes ran 4.35 at the NC State Pro Day at 6'2", 195 pounds. Last year on campus, he ran a 4.24. So he's cooking. And then Will Pauling, I think Will Pauling is actually a sleeper. Why? Because you're talking about a guy who ran 4.37. He had 42-inch vertical. He scored 6 touchdowns this year for Notre Dame. 6. That's a ton of touchdowns. So, and the Notre Dame guys typically produce. So all I would say is, if you're Jacob Cowing, if you're Jordan Watkins, if you're Ricky Pearsall, man, you better show up ready to roll, because there are legitimate. The Niners could go with 5 receivers: Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, Deshaun Stribling, Demarcus Robinson, and they could go with one of these other guys. They could go with Wesley Grimes if he looks great. They could go with Will Pauling. There's no guarantee that these young receivers that haven't done a whole lot and clearly have not impressed Kyle, there's no guarantee that any of them are going to get a roster spot. Obviously, Pearsall has got a great chance at a roster spot as a former first-round pick, but it's not guaranteed if there are better guys, and there's going to be a good competition here. This competition in this summer is not going to look like last summer. There's so much more athleticism here than they had at wide receiver last year when they were bringing in Malik Turner and Isaiah Nayer and guys who were really raw, guys with traits but no production. Wesley Grimes and Will Pauling have production. So does Stribling.
Yep.
So I'm excited about. To me, this is going to be like, if there's one spot to go to training camp and like hone in on, it's wide receiver, because who knows who the top guys are going to be. They may go with 5, they may go with 6, they may go with 7, and it could be very, very volatile. So I love Jordan Watkins. I think he's going to make it, but you never know. You just don't know.
Yeah. My biggest listen, Ricky Pearsall is safe because of the investment, because of name cachet, and he does have upside, right? So right now, I got to be real. he's safe, and there's no path where Ricky Pearsall is not going to make the team, right? He may get moved, but he's going to make the team. But Larry, I'm glad that you actually put a name on it, so I don't fumble this for the rest of the show. It is open season for the scholarship dudes. I'm telling you, Jacob Cowing, all right, Junior Bergen, Jordan Watkins, all right. All of that is up for grabs right now with the addition of Will Pauling and Wesley Grimes. This is real speed. Even Malik Turner. This is real speed that they're adding in. And as far as leadership, Will Pauling's coming out of Notre Dame, which was a captain. He's a real shifty guy coming out who's known to actually be a leader to help out that Notre Dame squad. One thing that I love about him is that he's a first down merchant. That's something that he does in spades. Will Pauling also, he's a controlled slot receiver. He's an absolute chain mover, and he brings quick routes and separation skills to the offense. One thing about him is that with the converting in his game, he's a first down maker. He's just somebody who you really can make that extended handoff guy where he majors in finding zones and getting open. I'm gonna tell you right now, these guys, we got a lot of speed. Will Pauling is also, I know that we talked about Wesley Grimes. I think he's about 6'2", 200 pounds, Larry, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But Will Pauling is not a small guy either. 5'10", 195 pounds. He's shifty after the catch. Like I said, he's a void finder, what I was trying to say as far as finding zones. And also another thing too, he's got punt return experience. So this is another guy that I believe can help us out to be able to be the instant speed on the field that we need. And then also guys like Will Pauling are a red zone threat as well. And he's tough as nails. So it's going to be a really good wide receiver class coming in to see how the competition bears out for camp.
We'll show a video or two here. We'll stop showing this. Here is for those who are like, hey, I've never heard anything about this kid Pauling. Tell me more.
Hold on, let me help you out. They're saying I don't think they're realizing, that Jawan is gone and everybody's worried about we lost third in Jawan. Well, it's just third in Dazan now. That's all it is. That's what it changed to, guys.
Here's Pauling, who looks pretty jacked. He's only 5'10", but he looks pretty jacked. 4.37 right here. That's not bad. He's moving pretty good there. There's another video here for Pauling, where he played. This is, he's a Wisconsin transfer. He came in. Jaden Greathouse for Notre Dame got hurt this year, and Pauling was in the portal. And this guy came to Notre Dame and he produced. Let me show you one more up top. Bomb from Notre Dame's quarterback to Will Pauling. And this is a guy who, as I say, a lot of these Notre Dame guys, they produce and at a pretty high level. And they don't, these are guys that play pretty good, pretty solid football. It's an interesting.
How did he not get picked up, Larry?
Well, he's small. He's a smaller player. There was a lot of times there's offers, everybody's got, I think they probably guaranteed him a little money as well. I didn't see all of the guarantees, and that stuff is not always public, but he's got legit talent. My Notre Dame friends say, hey man, Pauling is underrated. Now, obviously they had Malachi Lawrence. They had other guys. He was one of their guys. But Wesley Grimes is also legitimately cooking. I mean, we're talking about a guy with a lot of speed. And Wesley Grimes is no soft guy either. Wesley Grimes can take a hit. I mean, this is a guy who you can. I'm going to show you this kid take a hit, and you can see for yourself. Wesley Grimes can take a freaking hit, and when you can take a hit in the NFL. And you have 4.3 speed, legit 4.3 speed. I mean, he's got borderline 4.2 speed. Here he is right here. And I've been on scholarship in the past. You know who you are. Get ready because there's some legit guys at wide receiver. Let's do this. Let's hit a couple of our supers here. We got this one from Riker Trav. F you, Larry Coach. You're awesome. My favorite stream. Thank you, Riker. So Dimitar Dimitrov says, Coach and Larry, my favorite format. Keep going at it, boys. Raheem got this. Don't worry. Don't worry. That's Raheem Morris he's talking about. Vice the Blue Rogue. Could Garendo work as a tight end? Be short for a tight end, but I'll say this. He's not a, I think he'd be very interesting as a fullback, as a receiver.
6 foot, 220.
Yeah, I mean, you're a linebacker, you think that's juice, and all of a sudden you look up and it's Garendo and he's running down the seam. Good luck.
Remember when we thought that? Remember when we floated that Garendo would be the H? Remember we were saying that before he actually got in at running back?
They've shown no creativity with his usage. Yeah. At all. None. I mean, really, and I want to see it. And he's too athletic to not get out there. You gotta get him out there. Dimitar Dimitrov says, we need Don't Tell Me It's a Good Achilles t-shirt.
Don't tell me it's the good Achilles.
Don't tell me it's a good fucking Achilles. It needs an F-bomb in there, though. Yes, I told Kev we gotta work the t-shirt angle a little bit more this year. David Esger, do you guys like the talent on this team better than last year's team, barring injuries? Fire up. I do like the talent better this year, because you gotta have some speed at receiver. They were so slow. Better. And their D line's deep. We haven't got to the D yet.
Yep.
Dimitar Dimitrov, with this receiving core, let's just go back to old head West Coast offense, third and Dijon. Okay. All right. Let's jump to we're almost done with the offense. Let's jump to offensive line. And we'll share the screen on the offensive line. How do you feel, Coach, about the offensive line at this juncture? I'm kind of torn on this one. On one hand, I like that they got a couple athletes. I mean, that's what they got on Carver Willis and Enrique Cruz. They're athletes. Then they also got a couple of low-level free agents. Verdarian Lowe, Robert Jones, Brett Toth. Toth, they think, is a long-term center. Willis, I'm hearing could be a center as well. Toth maybe is more of a backup. Carver, they think Carver Willis they look at as more of a starting center. Maybe the replacement for Brendel. The guy that's just an awesome athlete is Enrique Cruz. I mean, I didn't love his film from Kansas. He doesn't look like a real tackle. He looks really developmental. But as far as just an athleticism, you're talking about a guy who's 315 pounds, who has a 36-inch vertical and ran in the 4.8s or 4.9s or something. And this guy's absolutely one of the best athletes I've seen. The question is, you got raw developmental athletes and some backup veterans. It can Firster put it all together and cook it all up, or last year when I walked away from Seattle, I thought, man, Brendel and Pooney and Burford are not strong enough against the Seattle defensive front, against Leonard Williams, against Byron Murphy. And now, if you're telling me you're going back into this year with Dom Pooney, Jake Brendel, Connor Colby across the board, maybe Robert Jones instead of Colby, we'll see. Are you better in the interior? I don't know. I mean, I'm intrigued by the 5 guys that they've added. I like that they're going for their own guys. I'm okay with the fact I would rather have gone Chase Basantis early on, but whatever. I'm okay with them going receiver. That's their belief that they can get O-linemen.
I'm not
later. I mean, I'm okay with
we can understand it. We don't have
it works. I mean, I mean, it's all TBD. I mean, we don't know if it's gonna work.
I mean, we can understand it. We don't have to like it. Larry, if you and I were together,
it wasn't my choice.
It wasn't my choice. All right, okay, I'm willing to go with that.
But I do understand.
What would you, for the record, what would you have done? What would you have done at 33?
As much as I don't like it, well, you know what? I really liked the offensive linemen that I liked. Like, they liked some day 3 offensive linemen. They liked Carver Willis and Enrique Cruz. Right. I like day 3 offensive linemen. I like Fabechi Weewu. I liked Jeremiah Wright. I liked Micah Morris, who went to Philly.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Larry, who were you going to pick at 33, brother?
I'm going to tell you. I think I was going to go defensive line, and I would have probably gone Zion Young, because I thought Zion Young was really, really tough, and I think he's the kind of I know people are like, oh, he doesn't bend the edge. I don't believe. I know he's not a. I think he's good against the run and the pass. I would have gone with Zion Young and given Nick Bosa a true every down guy as opposed to a sub package guy only. And that's what they got. They got a sub package rusher. We'll get to the line, but yeah, I would have gone D line. I would have gone D end with Zion Young.
Yeah.
But I like Chase Pasantis, and I would have been okay with guard there too. I didn't love the receiver pick, but you know what? If you're going to go receiver, at least you got a guy who's got legit speed. I'm tired of going with Dante Pettis is fast enough. Trust us. No. So I do like the
Chase
receiver they got,
was there.
But
I like Stribling. Like we've mocked him. So Stribling, I don't have a problem with the player. Chase Pasantis was there. I would have loved to go on Christian Miller.
Strong defensive tackle would have been nice, but they did get Grayson Halton later, and I like Grayson Halton a lot. So I'm okay with that. But here's my reason I wouldn't have gone wide receiver. I love the day 3 wide receivers, and I just told you I love Wesley Grimes and Will Pauling as undrafted guys. There were all kinds of day 3 wide receivers that they could have gotten instead of Stribling, but whatever. It's not that big of a deal. I guess my thought on the offensive line is to be determined. I mean, this is going to be a great camp. If you like to watch offensive line competition, it's going to be a great camp because guess what? Verdarian Lowe, Robert Jones, Brett Toth, Carver Willis, Enrique Cruz, they can't all make the team. You can't have 5 because you also have Austin Pleasance and you have Nick Zakel, you have Drake Nugent, you have Brandon Parker, you have some other backup offensive linemen there right now. I guess you could cut all of those guys and just go with Verdarian Lowe instead of Pleasance and go with Robert Jones inside. And so we'll see. You mentioned, guys on the second year who are no longer on scholarship. I think one guy that maybe will surprise us is Connor Colby because Connor Colby, I think Connor Colby doesn't have any deficiency. I think he's got enough strength. I think he's got enough game. I think he's got enough quickness. I think he's fine at left guard. It's just a matter of can he progress from year 1 to year 2, or is Robert Jones going to beat him out? So we'll see. It's going to be a good competition, though. And at least they have options. Like if Brendel sucks, you have Toth, you have Nugent, you have Carver Willis, you've got other guys, you've got Zakel. If Colby's not the guy, you got other options. You got Verdarian Lowe, you got Robert Jones, you got Carver Willis, So you do have some options. I like the fact that they've added some young depth and some young athletes. We'll see if Chris can coach them up. I mean, this is the way that all I would say is to Niner fans, this is the way the Niners have always done it. Always. I mean, going back to Bob McKittrick. Bob McKittrick had 1 first-round pick. It was Harris Barton. The 49ers, under Bob McKittrick went with late-round guys and undrafted guys and guys that nobody else wanted that he saw value in, and he coached them up, and they won championships. The only difference between Firster and McKittrick is the Niners have lost the Super Bowl. If the Niners had won the Super Bowl, McKittrick, Firster would be hailed as like the modern day McKittrick. Oh my God, they're doing it. And they're doing it with less. And look at this guy. But because they've lost, it's like, oh my God, Firster, the frustration, the line. So I don't believe in Brendel. I'm not going to try to pretend that I do. I do believe in Colby and Pooney. I do believe in McKivitz and Trent. I don't think it's an awful line, but I'm glad that they addressed it. But man, it really feels, Coach, like they just said, you know what? Let's just throw a bunch of guys up against the wall that we think are talented, and we'll just see if any of them stick it out. And so you got 3 free agents and you got 2 draft picks, and we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, really the same theme for this group as well. Scholarship guys. right? So I don't necessarily see a lot of competition across the whole offensive line. Obviously, the left guard position is up for grabs between, I think it's a little smaller of a competition. It's going to be Robert Jones and Connor Colby, basically a one-on-one to figure out who's going to get that left guard position. But outside of the first line of depth for the offensive line, it's really on that second line of depth where you got a lot of movement that could possibly happen due to competition. Somebody that's kind of been a lovable loser, that's a little bit of a mascot for us, that needs to start paying his weight. Nick Zakelj. You can't get roommate privileges forever, baby. All right. So we got to figure out what we're going to do with that. Viridian Lowe is here. I think that's going to be a direct challenger to Austin Pleasance, who actually gave us really good time when Trent was out. But Viridian Lowe can actually come in and be our backup de facto swing tackle if we need it. We already saw what's happening with Carver Willis and the Brett Toth. Carver Willis and Brett Toth going at the possible competition for Jake Brindle. I'd be looking to where if Jake Brindle started coming off of reps and Brett Toth started stepping up, that'd be something to pay attention to. But also, I think they're going to get a little more bit more bang for their buck if Carver Willis actually emerges as somebody that can fight for the center spot, because he can play guard too. Right. So if you
supposed to be
Carver
good in the run game, Coach. Yeah, Carver Willis is supposedly really good in the run game, and the question about him is he a pass protector? He was a left tackle for UW, but they're going to move him inside.
Right.
But it's funny. I talked to my buddy Dave Softy Mahler, who loves, he's a big Huskies guy, does pre and post game, and he said that Carver Willis was a really good player for them. I don't know. We'll see. He's, he's a little underdeveloped physically. He was 255 pounds when he got to college, and he has torn his right MCL in 2025. So he's already had a major injury. So, he wasn't my favorite player. I'm not going to pretend that he was. He's 6'5", he's 300 pounds, 32.5-inch arms, 26.5 on the vertical, 23 bench press reps. Dane Brugler's like, he's best when he's sealing and finishing in the run game. But his ability to stay on the NFL field will depend on how he pass protects off the edges. Now, he's not going to be a pass protector off the edges. Brugler says he projects as a backup swing lineman with the upside to be more. The Niners see him as a developmental guard. I didn't love the pick in the 4th round, but you know what? If he's a tenacious run game, guy who destroys people in the run game, then maybe it's a great pick. We'll see. I will say this, once again, people banging on Lynch and even Shanahan. It was obvious to me, based on the phone calls in the Niner locker room or in the Niner war room, that Chris Foerster made these calls. This is Carver Willis,
especially Enrique Cruz.
Yeah, Enrique Cruz, Carver Willis. Those are guys that there's film of of Chris Foerster saying, "Hey, man, it cost me a couple toes or whatever, to get you here."
Well, let me ask you this though: when you're looking at an offensive lineman, what's your preference in the offensive lineman? I'm an inside-out guy, so for me, what would you rather? What would you rather develop? An offensive lineman who struggles in pass protection or offensive lineman who struggles running the ball, blocking in run blocking?
Well, it's funny that you said that, because I would always say I would rather have a guy who can run block who struggles as a pass protector. But
100%.
That was my stated position. But I had a long conversation with Chris Foerster off mic, and he told me that what he looks for, he's like, this is a passing league, buddy.
Right.
And he's like, if I see somebody who can pass protect, we can work on the run blocking.
It's not as physical as it used to be. That's true.
He really believes that. I said, Connor Colby. I asked Chris a question, and I thought I was asking a question about that was going to get one answer, and I got a completely opposite answer. The question I asked was, Chris, what do you think of Connor Colby as a pass protector? Because I had been watching all the one-on-ones, and he's getting absolutely abused in the one-on-ones. Getting his ass kicked regularly. And Chris goes to me, looks me right in the eye, and he goes, I think he looks great.
It's getting better.
I said, Chris,
You don't know where he's come from.
I was like, what? I go, Chris, these one-on-ones, it seems like he's losing every rep. And he's like, oh, yeah. There's no question. He goes, if you're going off the one-on-ones, he's terrible. He's getting his ass kicked. It's like, I literally said,
but playing with the unit.
5-man, we block as a unit. We block in 5-man pressures, and in 5-man situations, he's a very dependable pass blocker, and so that means I can play him as a rookie because we can. If you can be a dependable pass blocker, I can put you on the field. If you're not a dependable pass blocker, I can't put you on the field. So that's why Colby started a couple games last year, because he was viewed as a very dependable pass blocker. So,
well, let's see what I'm excited to see what Carver Willis does with the unit in pass blocking, because he can run block. That's what he does.
He does. He's tenacious. So let's flip it. We'll go over to the defense now. And actually, before we do, let's tell people that, of course, the Krueg Show brought to you by Prize Picks, America's #1 sports picks app. Prize Picks is super simple. You just pick more or less on player stats or game outcomes. Build your lineup. It's available in most states, including California. If you haven't checked it out yet, use code HMA. And when you play $5, you're going to get $50 in lineups instantly. Thank you to them. And, of course, also thank you to the Alomar. We're sponsored by Alomar Marina. AlomarMarina.net, great Sacramento's favorite restaurant. You can float while you dine on the Sacramento River. They're at 5999 Garden Highway, open Wednesday through Sunday. Voted best specialty cocktails in Sacramento. Thank you, Alomar Marina. Also, thank you to Novato Chevrolet. Go see David Corral. The only place I'll buy a car is from Novato Chevrolet. They're rated top car dealership by Carfax, family owned for 50 years. Bay Area's EV headquarters. Go see David Corral. He will give you a screaming deal. And also thanks to Sharp Corners, sports cards and collectibles. The great Anthony Catania is at 831-521-5264. You can connect with him on Instagram at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. All right. Let's as we say, flip the card and talk about the defense. And we'll start with a spot, Coach, where I am so excited about the 49er defensive line. Man, I looked at this as like, how are they going to do this? How are they going to replace all these guys? They have McKell's off an injury. Bosa's off an injury. It looked really bleak. I was thinking, man, they need a defensive tackle who can rush the passer. They got to have defensive ends. They need bodies. They need depth. And look what they've added here. Osa Odigizua, Grayson Halton, Cam Sample as a free agent, Romello Height in the draft in the 3rd round, and then Bryson Eason and James Thompson and Mikhail Kamara after the draft. Coach, if you have, you got to have 10. I always use the barometer as 10. You got to have 10 good defensive linemen in the NFL on your team, or you got no shot. This team's got 3 lines of guys, and maybe even a 4th line that's pretty intriguing as well. There's plenty of depth here. The competition's going to be great. I'm excited by this defensive front, and especially Odigizua and Grayson Halton, because you've added 2 absolutely fantastic interior rushers, and you had 2 real young run stuffers inside with Collins and West, and now you got compliments in Halton and Odigizua.
Man, I love this group. Now that it's all come around and you're able to see exactly what we brought in via free agency, the guys that we let go, there's some guys that we just got some sneaky gets. I can't believe that you didn't mention the UDFAs, Larry. Like, come on.
I kind of did. I threw a few of those names: Mikhail Kamara, James Thompson,
Bryson Eason. Right, like that's something there too, man. That's not just your regular throwaway guys, right?
No.
When you're looking at a defensive line that keeps on a Sebastian Valdez and an Evan Anderson, there's a pathway for UDFAs to truly make this team. Am I right? Like, these guys, this isn't something where, it's ceremonial only, where they're just here as UDFAs. There's a real path to make the team. There's also some scholarship guys, man. on this defensive line that they may get pushed out. I'm looking at you, Evan Anderson. I'm looking at you, Sebastian Valdez. Also, somebody that may be in direct competition right now is I don't think that CJ West is naturally a good fit for the shade right behind Alfred Collins. I think he's a little sawed off. His frame is not as necessarily as long as it can be. And he actually gets washed out in double teams and blocks. We saw a lot of that in the Seattle game. Didn't have a lot of time on task this year. Not that many tackles, not a lot of games played or snap production. We already know that right now, as it stands, our tip of the spear in the defensive line, our number one nasty daddy is Alfred Collins. That's our guy. Osa Odigizua is coming in here in his prime, but he's our 3 technique. He's here to be our penetrating pass rusher, as well as Grayson Holton. So those 2 guys are locked in on the defensive line as far as I'm concerned, with just their skill set alone being unique to where they play. I don't think CJ West is necessarily as strong as a backup where Alfred Collins is. And then we know with defensive line is that there's waves, right? So essentially your first wave and your second wave, it's not necessarily that one is a backup and one is a starter, but they've got to be just as intense. They need to bring just as much as intensity as the last unit. So I'd love to see James Thompson Jr. start making some noise and seeing what he can do against Evan Anderson and CJ West to try to get up on that line. He's not going to play the 3 technique. He's not necessarily a penetrating defensive lineman, but at 6'5", 305 pounds, 36 reps on the 225, 4 years of Wisconsin, coming in out of Illinois. This guy is somebody that I believe not only matches the body type of an Alfred Collins, who himself is 6'6", 300 plus, but we can keep that keep that weight up front that we need on the defensive line, particularly with helping us stopping the run. As far as the pass rush is concerned, it's temperamental, because we know what we have, but we're kind of strapped to the timeline of injuries, right? So we don't know when Nick Bosa or Michael Williams or Keon White, for that matter, who got into an accident this offseason, we don't know when they will be back. Cam Sample will play. We just don't know for how long. One of the chess pieces of our defensive line. Are you ready for this, Larry? In my opinion, the chess piece of our defensive line is Sam O. Sam Aquanu, man.
Strong. Very strong.
Sam O has so much versatility, man. All right. At 6'1", 270 pounds, Sam O can basically play up and down the defensive line. Sam O can rush.
Inside, outside.
Inside, outside guy. We already know what he does against the run. Definitely gives us some pop in the passing game. All right. To go get the quarterback. And I think that having somebody like Sam O accentuates other players, right? So when we're waiting on a Keon White or a Michael Williams or a Nick Bosa to get back, Sam O being put into the lineup really helps us out. So I really like the fact that we've got Sam O in right now. Another thing that I've noticed with this defensive line, with adding Romello Height, which we have not even said his name yet, which is great. Yep. That's how many guys we have on this defensive line without even saying Romello Height's name yet. But we have guys like Cam Sample, who can also come in and help us out in the stead of Keon White, Michael Williams, and Nick Bosa coming back. But I will tell you this, man, there's also something that I've also seen about a hopeful on this defensive line. And we can only keep it so many, but I would love to find a role for Mikael Kamara. I think that I'm a big Mikael Kamara fan. You know, this guy will go get the quarterback, good against the run. He's somebody that I know will be a very good upside plus guy in special teams. And we'll see.
Block the punt in the Natty.
Yeah, block the punt in the Natty. So we got to see where it stands with all of the talent and the guys that we have. There's so many exciting competitions that we'll have in the defensive line coming up with camp. But this is the last thing that I'll say moving forward with it. I think we're done. We don't need to bring in a Leonard Floyd or a Joey Bosa. I mean, how are we going to get Romello Height going when we bring that guy in? How are we going to get a Cam Sample or getting guys going? So I think the Niners are done going to go get pass rushers. I really believe that this is the final fit of what we got at the D line. And I also believe that the defensive line is our most improved group over the offseason.
You know, it's interesting. I could see them going after Joey Bosa, but if you said to me, are we looking at this line as it's going to be, or do you think Joey Bosa is going to be on it? I kind of don't think Joey Bosa is going to be on it, but I will say this about Leonard Floyd: he really does follow Raheem Morris around, and he did have a pretty good year with the Niners. He had 8 sacks, and it was just sack production, but it was just like, but he is a good player in that 5-man front. And Romello Height is, 230 some odd pounds. And I don't know if he can stand up against the run. We'll see. I don't think we're going to see Joey Bosa. We may see Leonard Floyd. I don't think it's going to be a high ticket item. I think if he comes, it'll be for a nominal cost. I don't think he's going to make a ton of money, but yeah, I don't see them. I don't see
room for him.
Yeah, I don't see room for him either. Let me show you the 2 videos I love the most here. One's on Grayson Halton, and this is a guy named Chris Cooper. And this kid Halton, I think, is one of the best picks the Niners made this year. I love this kid. I mean, this kid's motor, but I love the speed. This guy's going to make tackles for loss. And there's a little commentary here, so we'll listen to this. But it's about a minute long, and then we'll play a little James Thompson. Here's a little breakdown on the Oklahoma defensive tackle, Grayson Halton.
Oklahoma defensive tackle Grayson Halton stole the show at the Combine last week. He ran a 4.82 in the 40-yard dash at 6'3", 293 pounds. And when you turn on the tape, you can immediately see the type of explosive athlete he is. On this rep, Oklahoma is running a stunt, so this one tech is going to slant to pick the center as Halton loops around. And you'll see that 40-yard dash show up here as he chases down the reverse pass all the way to the sideline.
This is pretty special.
It's just wild to see a defensive lineman move that fast.
That's crazy.
They run a similar stunt here with Halton setting the pick this time, and watch how he just mauls the center. Then he keeps his motor churning, collapses the pocket, and sacks the quarterback. On this rep, Missouri's running split zone. Watch what he does here to beat this reach block by the center. At the snap, he fires off the ball, dips that left shoulder to get skinny, then look at the power to completely stop the center's lateral movement. Then he blows up the run yard balls. Just an awesome rep by him there. Here he'll be lined up as a nose tackle, and just watch how explosive he is off the ball. Oklahoma runs a tech stunt here, so Halton's going to slant towards the strong side B gap with the edge leaking in.
All 5-star.
And at the snap, look at how quick and explosive his get off is. The protection wasn't on the same page, but still, he is lightning quick at the point of attack. This dude is a straight up disruptor in the trenches, and his draft stock is going to the moon.
Yeah, no, I really love Halton. I think the Halton pick was fantastic. He should have gone in the 2nd round, and he went in the 4th round. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That was an unbelievable thing, and that's how you get good players in the draft, is that you play the draft as it comes to you, and they did in that particular scenario. Now, you mentioned James Thompson. James Thompson played at Wisconsin and then finished up this year at Illinois. And then he showed up at the East-West Shrine practices in Frisco, Texas, and he dominated. And what this is every rep of him going up against guys like Fabechi Wiwu and Caden Barnett and some really pretty decent offensive line prospects. And he shows power. What you're going to see here is Coach referenced it. This guy, this defensive tackle, James Thompson, has got 36 reps of 225. We're talking about guys who are strong when they have 26 reps. This guy put up 10 more than that.
He's a grown
He's got
man.
Unbelievable strength, and you'll see that strength in this video. What you're also going to see, though, is you're going to see major quickness. Look at this guy. About a minute long, every rep from his practice film. And that's a nice little swim up and over. Good feet. Here he is going up against offensive lineman. Oh, that's the same rep, actually. Look at the strength. He just gets this guy on his heels and then turns back into the quarterback. That's Reed Armage from A&M. He's very strong, one of the stronger offensive linemen. This is Caden Barnett. He's 320 pounds. Look at him just push this guy back on his heels. This guy is in full retreat mode. I mean, that's like, here he is going up against Barnett. There he is. That's the reverse angle.
Bro, come on. Can you imagine Alfred Collins and James Thompson rolling on the field together on 2nd and short?
Look at the movement here, Coach. Look at the movement here. This is a Wiwu. Now, I really liked a Wiwu, 54. But look at Owiwu's all over the place. He doesn't know where he
doesn't know what to do with him.
Dude, look at this rep. Owiwu's on both sides of him during this rep. He's on his right side. He's on his left side. Oh, he's on his right side. He couldn't stay in front of him. Could not stay in front of him. Not there, not there, not there. It's like this
and
guy's
he's moving him with
6'6".
power, right?
Yeah.
He's not shifting. He's fucking ripping his ass.
This guy is 6'6", 310. This isn't some guy who's 265 or 275. This guy's 6'6", 310 with 36 long arms and 36 reps on the bench. So anyway, one of my favorite players. I think he's a steal. So I love this defensive front. I mean, let's just count them. Mikel, Collins, Odigizua, Bosa, Keon White, CJ West, Grayson Halton, Sam Aquinu, Cam Sample, Romello Height. We're at 10. Now, most teams don't take more than 10. That doesn't account for Sebastian Valdez, Evan Anderson, William Bradley King, who's no slouch, or Bryson Eason, James Thompson, or Mikhail Kamara. Do you see how loaded that defensive front is? That's loaded. Yeah. They actually have a loaded front. They're really deep. Most teams keep 10. 5 ends, 5 tackles. Here are the Niners' 5 ends. Mikel, Bosa, Sam O, Keon White, and now Romello Height. So that means that Cam Sample and Kamara would get cut in that scenario. William Bradley King. And they signed Sample. I don't think he's going to get cut. Kamara, I think they gave a big bonus to sign him as a free agent. So they've got plenty of depth at end. And then tackle, they go Collins and Odigizua, West and Halton, Anderson and Valdez, Eason and Thompson. They have 4 lines of defensive tackles. I mean, that's a very, very – they've done an amazing job there, Coach, at restocking the defensive line. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I'd love Bosa. I'd love Leonard Floyd, but I think you're totally right. There's no apparent need right now on the defensive line. There's not.
Nope. I kicked and screamed, but they went out and got it done. It all started with the 3rd round draft pick trade of Osi Odigizua.
Yeah.
That really helped, and that kind of shaped everything. What I love about this is the sneaky acquisition of getting rid of players. I mean, moving on from players like Kalia Davis and Jordan Elliott, but then going finding better players, younger, and for no draft picks in James Thompson and a Bryson Eason. You can't tell me that James Thompson Jr. isn't an upgrade over what a Kalia Davis or a Jordan Elliott could give us as backup guys sitting next to CJ West. So I love what they did. I mean, when I don't like what they've done, I'm very open about it. But hey, you got to give it up. You got to keep it balanced. They did a beautiful job at retooling the defensive line. And also, it's the nuclear reactor of our battleship, right? It's what we do. It's what they spend the most money on. It's what they spend the most assets on. It's what we customarily draft for all the time. So it's about time that they start investing and getting the defensive line back, because when we have our stuff together on defensive line, we're together. Right now, we rank 32nd in the league with 3.49% and sack percentages. All right. So, sacks per game, we ranked, where were we? Sacks per game, we ranked 32nd and 1.2 sacks per game. So this wasn't only something that we needed to get right with the context of who we are as a team, but statistically, this was something that needed to be rectified. So I'm glad they put their best foot forward on this.
I mean, they got a lot of dudes there. There's a lot of guys there. I'm trying to search for a Bryson Eason video.
Me too. I was looking while you were talking. It's not on Twitter, dude. I looked on X. It's horrible.
I don't see anything on there.
Mikel's up there, though.
But I'll say this. Bryson Eason used to be a linebacker. So, when you see 6'3", 325, at Tennessee, I just assumed it's going to be a big, fat, sloppy-bodied guy. You know what? No. This guy is a linebacker, and he makes plays outside of his area. He's got movement ability. I mean, this is
Mhm.
not like some big fat guy who's like, oh yeah, this guy can absolutely move. So they got some really interesting players there, and I definitely think the defensive line is fortified. All right, let's move to the linebacker spot. We'll share the screen, show people linebacker. We're almost wrapping up here. Let's go linebacker. Linebacker's interesting. Okay, why? Because the Niners run a 4-3 wide 9, and they've added Raheem Morris. And Raheem Morris really features a lot of 5-man fronts. And so you're going to see a lot of what we call, a lot of 5-2, a lot of 5-2 looks, 5-man surfaces, 2 stack backers. So your third linebacker isn't going to play very much. Not in this. So Greenlaw and Warner are your starters. Okay. Then you have Nick Martin, you have Tatum Bethune. They moved off of D Winters. And they replaced, and they've got Luke Gifford, who's a very good special teamer. They have Garrett Wallow, who's a very good special teamer. You still have Jalen Graham, but he's probably not going to make the team. And then you took Jaden Duggar out of Louisiana. And coach, this is the most interesting pick of the day, of the weekend, in my mind. Dieter hates the pick. Dieter hates him.
Okay.
I respect Dieter. I respect Dieter quite a bit. Dieter hates him. And I understand why he hates him, because the guy was a safety at Georgetown, and then he went to Louisiana, and there's all kinds of bad film there. There's
a lot of it.
A lot of bad film. But what this kid is just a freak as far as height, weight, speed, and length. We're talking about one of the longest players in the entire draft. And it's not like this guy. It would be one thing if it was just like, Krueg, come on, he's just a workout freak of nature, workout warrior guy. He's not. He's significantly better than that. He was the 24th linebacker on Dane Brugler's board. Brugler calls him an ascending athlete who's worth developing on the practice squad. He grew up in Pittsburgh, PA. Okay, sadly, his brother was tragically killed in his youth, but he's an ascending player. This guy's measurables, though. He's 6'4" and 3/4, so he's almost 6'5", 242 pounds, 35-inch arms. This guy's got the longest arms of almost anybody, 84 and 3/8 inch on the arm, 17 reps on the bench, which is a low number, but he's got long arms. His 40 time is 4.6, but he's got a 1.61 10-yard split. His tackle totals at Georgetown in 22, he had 22 tackles. In 23, he had 41 tackles. In 24 at Louisiana, he had 37 tackles. And then this year at Louisiana, he had 125 tackles. And there's something really special about this kid's ability to shoot gaps. I don't know if Raheem Morris looks at him and sees maybe an uber athletic edge rusher opposite, like, maybe like somebody that he would kind of use kind of like Romello Height, because he's definitely got like length and edge speed and the kind of long arms and length and talent that you would think. And it's a very simple scheme to just rush off the edge in a 5-man front. Or is this guy a stacked backer at this size? And if so, I have a feeling he's going to be one of those boomer bust guys, because he's got such incredible traits, but there's no place for him to play right now with Greenlaw and Warner in front of him, Nick Martin, Tatum Bethune in front of him. But to me, this is going to be one of the most interesting guys to watch this summer and in the preseason, just to see one, because you make 125 tackles and have awesome measurables, chances are you're going to show up in camp and really look like something. And then it's a matter of, what position is this guy? Is he a linebacker? Is he a defensive end? How's Morris going to utilize him? He's a chess piece. He's an athlete. Like, if you told me that this guy became the best player in this draft class, I wouldn't be shocked. Coach, if you told me this guy got cut in August, I wouldn't be shocked. It's like the full gamut of possibilities are out there, because it's such a big swing. But I love marrying traits, athletic traits, high-end athletic traits with great production. And that's what he had this year with 125 tackles. I'm so eager to see Jaden Duggar. It could be anything this summer.
Yeah, well, not this year
now?
though. Not this year. I think he's a little too light. I do believe that he needs to learn a little bit more about the position that he is going to play, because I don't see him as an inside backer. I think he's a little too small at 240 pounds. The only thing about it is that it's not necessarily the 240, but it's the 6'5", right? And it's his wingspan. One thing that absolutely helps us with just gaining what type of athlete he is being able to see that, look, this kid is got a 7-foot wingspan. All right. He's played at Louisiana State, former safety that moved over. We already talked about his stats and his tackles ranking up. I believe you said 125. But this is the upside on him. He's got rare length. He's got range. He's got tons of athleticism. He knows how to move in space. He successfully tracks wide runs very good. He's a good sideline to sideline type of guy. That's where he really shines for me, is when he starts running and chasing down, right? I like the way he chases, not necessarily the way he hunts, right? Being able to meet guys at the point of attack. He effectively uses his length in wrapping and finishing up on the field. So that's where you see a lot of those tackles come from. But there's some things that really are going to hurt him on the next level, and that's his pad level. He kind of tiptoes through the tulips a little bit. He's got a little bit of Sonny Styles in him, but he ain't Sonny Styles. And another thing that
All-Star game. Look at him on the All-Star game. Here he is right here. Look at the pursuit, though.
Right. And another thing that
a lot of range right there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, another thing that I think is going to hurt him at the next level is that once he gets blocked, he tends to stay blocked, right? He really doesn't know how to fight off offensive linemen at the second level. And once they get their hands on him, they take him for a ride. I think that he can play at one of those edge spots as an outside linebacker. I really love his length. He's going to have to get a little bit stronger and help in learning how to set the edge. But I believe that he could be somebody that can come off of the ball, be able to get down into that bucket and play the bubble, use his hands, be able to help out in pass protection if they need him to buzz out. And one thing that I haven't seen from him that you may want to check on is, how is he in pass rushing? Have you seen any pass rush ability from him?
Well, that I just showed you a rep of Brad Graham had on his Twitter about rushing from the edge.
Because that's where I see him coming. That's where I see his fit for us, rushing from the edge. In the meantime, I'd love to see what he can do on special teams. And as far as like Niner comped fits, my comp for him is DFF, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. Somebody that came in, fit in for a lot of good special teams reps for us. Played at spot, but Demetrius played inside. I just think that in this defense, especially with Raheem here, we're going to see him at that edge position.
I think he's boom or bust. Here he is playing coverage. To me, it's like he's got a body that's similar to like Manny Lawson. Remember Manny Lawson, who used to be the Niners?
Yeah, man. Manny Lawson. Manny could fly.
Manny could fly, but also Manny had a hard time kind of figuring out, like, was he a stack
what is he
length, or is he an edge rusher, and is he an edge rusher in certain schemes? I don't know that Duggar to me seems like he's a stack backer. He doesn't look like a defensive end, but you know what? I haven't seen Raheem Morris's edge pieces in his 5-man fronts and exactly what it looks like, and maybe he's a perfect edge piece. I'd love to know who banged the table for Jaden Duggar, because if it was Raheem Morris, maybe he sees something there. Because Raheem Morris last year found James Pierce and Jalen Walker, two really exciting edge rushers, and got great production out of them. So maybe he's just got a vision for how he wants to use Duggar. But to me, it's like, is he an edge rusher? Is he a stack backer? I think he's a stack backer with a lot of speed. Dieter sees him as a guy who takes a lot of false steps and misreads things. I can understand that because, he's played safety. He's like the size of an edge rusher. He's playing linebacker. He's at Louisiana. It's hard to say, but he's athletic and definitely long. What about safety? Let's talk about
I have
safety.
A question for you though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we move on from pass rushing. I'm very interested to see how this plays out in Raheem Morris being able to generate a pass rush, which is basically non-existent, without sacrificing run defense. Right? So what does that look like? Having possibly a Duggar on the field, or what do your outside guys look like if you're going to go with that 5-man mugged up front with 2 linebackers? Like, how much it's going to be interesting to see how much they prioritize their run versus pass initiative priorities based on who they put on the field. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
There's a lot of unknowns this year. There's no question about that. There's a lot of unknowns. But as far as Duggar is concerned, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's got prototypical height, weight, speed, right? 6'4", 245. He's a former high school hoops player of note. He was an FCS all-conference safety. But then this year, he led the Sun Belt in solo tackles, and he's got 380 snaps of special teams experience. He's a height, weight, and speed athlete who's very, very impressive. I think his initial role is going to be on special teams, and I think he could be great at that. He could
DFF?
He could be. Yeah, he could be a very good special teamer. This is, I think, the best film. Let me show you this. This is 20 seconds. Here's 20 seconds of Duggar. And I actually think this film kind of shows that he's got ability as a stack backer. I think his timing, his ability to see the play in front of him. Here he is. He's number 3. Okay. And that's good close right there. That's good angles. That's not an easy play right there. Here he is, sifts through the traffic, gets through.
I like that.
Yeah, see, that's a good play. That's a good play. Now here he sidesteps the blitzer and gets the quarterback down because of the length. Look at the arm length.
Look at those arms.
Yeah, this guy's arm length is just absolutely. Look at those are the. This might be the longest arm guy I've seen at linebacker.
7-foot wingspan.
This is a gigantic, rangy linebacker, and we're talking about a guy. We're not projecting like, hey, you know what? This guy did an incredible workout at the combine. I wonder if he would be a good football player. He had 125 tackles this year for Louisiana, so he kind of showed that he was a productive player for them.
He can be productive.
I agree with Dieter, and I saw some of Dieter's stuff that he, there's all kinds of false steps and there's mistakes, but that play right there, you and I really like. Let's just show that play one more time. This is him getting skinny through no, not this one. Let's see.
Yeah, but you see Dieter's false step knock is coming up even in this highlight.
Yeah. No, you see false steps here, but this play is, I think maybe we'll get the reverse angle on that play. Here it is. This play right here, no, not this one. This is when he goes to the sideline. The next play here it is, where he shoots through. I mean, there's not a lot of room there, and he got through there, and made a really nice play. So, this kid's got length and speed, and he had 1 year of amazing production. Granted, it was the Sun Belt, but I think, Coach, you know what? Every year this happens. You draft a bunch of guys, okay? You have one feeling about them on draft day, and then you got maybe another feeling about them at minicamp. But then all of a sudden you see them at training camp, and some guys really impress you, other guys under impress you. To me, when you draft guys when you're marrying traits and production, you got a chance to hit home runs. And this kid's got traits and 1 year of crazy production. There's a chance that Jaden Duggar is like the talk of the Niner preseason, that he's all over the place, that he's making.
Larry, you always take it to the brink.
No, I think this is the
so you're bullish on this. You really like.
I'm bullish on this. I'm bullish on this caliber of an athlete and this kind of production. So this guy's got to have no pressure. Nobody's expecting him to play. He's not going to get a chance to play. I mean, this guy's going to have to be spectacular to play.
Some people are going to have to lose their jobs for him to play.
Right. Dre Greenlaw is going to have to not start possibly because this guy's that good.
Or also, I think that another fruitful conversation to have about the linebacking core is what's going to happen with Nick Martin. Is he ready to go? Well, right? Like Nick Martin needs to be ready to go because we haven't gotten anything out of him.
Where are you on Nick? Where are you on Nick? Because I'm still very much a believer in Nick. I know there are people that think that, they don't believe. Dieter's another one of them. He's not a believer in Nick Martin. He thinks that Nick Martin takes too many false steps and he's out of control and he is not going to be productive. I look at a guy that is maybe the best athlete one of the best athletes on the whole team, on the entire team. Now,
you know what I have for Nick Martin? You know what I think is going to happen?
Tell me.
I think that under Raheem, Nick Martin is going to be a DPR, and he's going to thrive. I think they'll put Nick Martin. Yeah, Nick Martin's going to be on the other side of the edge and they'll find a way to put Fred, Nick Martin, Dre, and another guy on the other side, all on the field. I think that's Nick Martin's path. He's going to be a special teams guy regardless, right? He got to dance for his food. But as far as where he'll be on the defense, I could see Nick Martin sliding at the edge position, being in a package to rush the passer, being somebody that can buzz the flat, help out in hook curl flat. I could see that for him. Now, the consistency and the injury stuff, that's got to get tamped down. But I think there's a path for Nick Martin just because of the traits alone. I think Nick Martin emerging is probably one of the reasons why they felt okay letting go of D Winters, as well as bringing in Dre Greenlaw.
I'm a big believer in Nick Martin. Let's for those who are like, well, what, he didn't play and this and that. Okay. Here's what Robert Saleh said about him when I asked him about Nick Martin earlier this year. And this is a pretty good answer, I think, from Saleh. Listen to this. This is Saleh going through the whole thing.
Robert, are you dissatisfied at all with Nick Martin? I mean, he's your guy's third-round pick. He's a rookie, but he's not getting on the field over guys like Gifford and Robinson. Is there some dissatisfaction with him, or is there something he's not doing?
No, there's no dissatisfaction. He's there is a bit of a learning curve in terms of where he's come from college to what we're asking him to do, and I think he's done a really nice job. He's got to earn it on special teams with D Winters being the starter. Like Giff is a big time special teams guy. Curtis Robinson's a big time special teams guy. Now you've got Tatum and you've got D, who are both starters. So for him, he has had to make his way. And then obviously Fred was there before Fred's injury. It's hard to justify if you're not the starter and you're not owning special teams. Those guys are always going to get first dibs. And Giff, not to speak for Brant, but he's been one of our top special teams guys. So you got to find a role and you got to make it work with who the active guys are. Now that he's got a chance to be active, he had his first run on special teams. Thought he did a really nice job, and he's going to get another run at it. But unless D gets hurt, God forbid that happens, because D's having a hell of a season, he's going to have to make his way on special teams this year.
What do you think, Coach? I mean, I thought that was a really good answer from Saleh. I mean, it was he laid it out there. The question is, do you believe him? Do you believe him? Or, I mean, the counter argument is, hey, look, man, if this guy's really that special, wouldn't you move your special teams guys around and get this guy active? But they did have a lot of bodies there. Was a third-round pick. I'm a believer. I mean, guy played 14 snaps and had 7 tackles. All right. That's not at Oak State. That's with the Niners. So I'm a believer. I think he's one of the most athletic guys. I mean, I don't know him that much, right? I don't know I think he was more of a pass rusher at Oak State. That was what he was really good at. But I'll just say this, without knowing him, you just said, they're the guys. He looks on the hoof, as they say, like one of the most athletic guys in the entire field. Period.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it's rinse, wash, and repeat. It's the same thing. He's got a new defense. He came in as a new guy last year, and surprise, you got yourself a new defense in your sophomore season where they're expecting you to show production. That's just the league. That's the nature of the beast. One thing that I am expecting from him is the injuries, man. Like the concussions, the injuries, and I'm not even here I said it as if I'm blaming him for getting injured, which I'm not. But what I am saying is that your best ability is availability. And that's something that we can't have if you can't even depend on him to be on the field. For all the traits that he brings, if we can't get it on a consistent basis, it's all for naught. So I am looking for him to be a continued contributor on special teams and make a name for yourself. Like, we know the campaign, or we know the politics of the locker room, Larry. We've been doing this for a long time. How do you make a team? The same way you get a job. You start picking up a broom and getting to work, right? Making yourself useful, right? Get around, pick up a job or two, get on a gunner team, get on kickoff, get some tackles, push for yourself, and quite frankly, build competition where you have to maybe take some names. But if we're looking at Nick Martin as if like he's some type of prize scholarship recruit that we got where we're redshirting him to roll him out for when guys leave, that ain't the story here. And that's what I love about the underbelly of our conversation, which is the scholarship players angle. I think scholarship players is for losing teams. There's a lot of teams where guys get ceremoniously clung to because of where they got acquired, the things that they may have, their upside versus their potential really is a much better thing to look at versus the reality of what the team has. So it makes you want to keep them. But bringing in competition gets rid of these guys. Just as bullish as I am on Nick Martin on being something for us is the same way I am on getting his ass out of here if he can't produce, because that means that competition is working. So, hey, sharks are born swimming. He's got to turn it on this year. But he's a hell of a player.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, I'm really glad they didn't trade him. To me, when you're as fast as he is, let's take a look. I have a feeling I'd be shocked. I'd be very surprised if this guy doesn't fire this year. He's so athletic. All right, let's move to safety.
You got to change that 45, man. That thing is hideous.
What's that? Oh yeah,
you got to change that 45. That number is ugly.
It's not a great number. All right, let's jump to the safeties and corners, and we'll jump. Safety, this is interesting. This might be the spot now that they need help. They have Jair Brown, they have Malik Mustafa, they have Marquise Siegel coming back. They also have undrafted free agent from last year, Derek Canteen. They have a street free agent named Derek Forrest. They picked up the ex-Cal Bear Patrick McMorris. The interesting name to me on this list is Jalen Stroman. That's the Notre Dame undrafted free agent. Why is he interesting? Well, I'm not that big. I don't know that much about him. But Ryan Fowler from the Draft Network, who I've had on, had this guy as one of his sleepers in the draft, back in March, back in February. He thought he looked really good in the lead up to the draft. He's a safety from Notre Dame, so he's in the mix there. This is a spot where a lot of people feel the Niners need to go and add a veteran player. Is there a veteran safety, or is Prysock maybe a safety? How do you see the Niner defensive backfield? Usually they go with 10, right? 6 corners, 4 safeties. So Brown, Mustafa, Siegel, and maybe one other safety. But this year they have so many corners. Maybe they'll go with 7 corners and 3 safeties if one of those corners, like Nate Hobbs, can play safety. How do you see safety for the Niners? Do they need more, or are they okay?
We were big Jalen Kilgore guys, right?
Yeah, very much.
And I hate to do it to him, but I can't do Jalen Sloman, man. A 4.75 40 at safety is a big deal, bro. Yeah. There's no speed. I'm sorry. And that alone makes me out on Jalen. I love that he's like a man zone, kind of like a slot nickel safety. All right. Not a lot of length, 6 foot, 203 pounds. I get it. They're bringing in a name with tons of production. All right. He fires downhill, came to Notre Dame as a transfer out of Virginia Tech. All right. As a fresh start guy. To try to compete for a national championship. It didn't necessarily happen for them. But I'll just tell you, one thing that you're going to be getting is what we already got. We got McDonald's at home. We got Malik Mustafa. All right. He fires downhill with bad intentions. That's Malik Mustafa. Processes information quickly pre-snap. That's something that he can bring into the fold, but that remains to be seen on the NFL level. Length with wide shoulders. He gives them the frame. He's bigger for slot receivers. Malik Mustafa maintains competitive edge on every snap, plays like a linebacker. Malik Mustafa, body control. Dude, we got this guy already on our roster. I like Stroman from a perspective as he is a good football player, but when we're talking about competition, who's he going to beat out? So he's not going to beat out Jair Brown. He's not going to beat out Malik. I think that the best thing
he's not beating out Nate Hobbs. I mean,
he's not beating out Nate Hobbs.
Nate Hobbs just signed with the Niners. Now it's a 1-year deal, but he had just signed a 4-year, almost $50 million deal with Green Bay. The Niners, the Niners added him. He's making the team.
Yeah, he's making the team, right? So I don't know about Jalen Stroman and where he stands now. There could be something here. Now, as far as speed and athleticism is concerned, I take Marquise Siegel over Jalen Stroman any day. But Marquise Siegel has shown to struggle at times during his rookie campaign. Could there be a crack in the lineup for a Jalen Stroman Marquise Siegel competition right there? So I don't know. I'm not here to play weatherman, but I'm not too high on our safeties.
Well, here's
I'm TBD.
TBD. I hear you. I kind of think we're going to see a position switch here. Why? Because look at what the Niners
Price
at corner. Well, I kind of like Price on the corner, but I think I think Hobbs can play safety.
We got a lot of corners.
I mean, right now you've got Renardo, Demo, and Stout. Those are your top three. Then you brought in Jack Jones, who's not a safety. He's a corner. He's a jump the route kind of a corner. Then you've got Prysock, who's 6'4", but he's really thin. I think he's more of a corner with 4.4 speed. Saron Neal's a special teamer. Jacob Robinson is a corner. But the two guys that I think are going to maybe factor in at safety are Nate Hobbs and Darrell Luter. Because Luter's got size and length. Hobbs has got size and length, and he's played inside. And it's much more of a coverage game. I like if you're gonna go to camp deep in one spot and thin in another, I'd want to be deep at corner and thin at safety because you can always play your corners at safety and they're better cover guys than your safeties. So I don't know that Stroman's a wild, that's a wild card. I agree with you. For that, to me, he's too slow, and I think he, when you put a 4.7 guy out there and you see it on the field, you'll know within a practice or two. No, he's too slow.
You can't put 4.7 on the field that far away from the line of scrimmage.
No, exactly. Heck, you can't put 4.7 on the field at linebacker. You can't put 4.7 on the field in the defensive backfield. You'll just get crushed. They'll find that guy. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, they'll pick him apart.
him, and he'll come off the field.
And hurry up to boot.
Right, exactly. You can't change the lineup. So
I'm gonna make you call timeout.
So you need, let's say, 5 corners: Renardo, Stout, Upton, Renardo, Lenore, and Stout. Those 3. Jack Jones, and then Prysock, and then Jacob Robinson would be number 6. And then Saron Neal's probably got to be on this team somewhere, because he's your special teams ace. So Robinson and Saron Neal probably battle for that one spot. And then I think Hobbs or Luter probably slate in as the 4th safety behind behind Brown and Mustafa and Siegel. So I actually kind of think even though Prysock, I'll be completely honest. A buddy of mine is really hot to trot on Prysock. And
me too. I like him.
Ephesians is a hell of a player. My thing on Prysock is that there's a lot of penalties there. And if we watch him in the transitions, I think at all that length, he's going to have a hard time in transition. But you know what? We'll see. And he's a big corner. He also played opposite a really good player last year, so it wasn't like he's played a lot. Like Prysock has 40 some odd starts to his name, so he's got a lot of experience. He's not just tall and long and we'll see. This guy's played a ton of football. So
yeah, I mean, I have the
intriguing traits there.
Yeah, and as far as most improved for the offseason, I give it to the defensive line. But as far as most improved from the season, I have our secondary. I hate they they were the sacrificial lamb of our defense, not having sack production and being able to get after the quarterback and create pressure. That all is a byproduct of how we look at our corners and our safeties. So I just think that what we have alone, being able to take care of that defensive line, we're going to see a lot of different play from the safeties and just certain things that we kind of thought were glass ceilings, like, you know, we're only going to be able to be this good in the secondary position. I think that picks are going to go up, PBUs are going to go up, helping out in the run game. Guys are going to play a lot more confident. It really does. Larry, you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It really does start up front. If you don't trust the defensive line to be able to stop the run and go get the quarterback, it all matriculates for the other units. It goes downhill. So us being able to handle that get that defensive line together and bring in those bodies, bring back guys that are hurt, you're going to get guys like where you say to yourself, well, Prysock is a little grabby. Well, he doesn't have to be grabby if he's got a defensive line that makes him only cover for 2.2 seconds, right? So we get aggressive. You can be aggressive in your secondary when you get a defensive line that basically turns something that would be an egregious hold and on slow motion on a Sunday. It looks like a bang, bang play when the D-line is doing their job. It's really about timing. So I'm excited to see what we do with the secondary.
My buddy of mine who knows Prysock said, man, this kid's a tough kid from LA who will fight you. And you know, that's what this is at the line of scrimmage. You gotta be really tough to play in the NFL.
That's my comp for him, Marcus Peters.
Yeah, I mean, which is I think a perfect comp because Peters also was lengthy, and if there was ever, he got a little grabby. There were times but he also was very physical and very, Marcus Peters was a great in great moments too. Peters also had Peter's a little crazy. He's got some craziness to him. This guy, I don't know, but this is a tough athletic kid from Los Angeles who my buddy says is tough and is like really going to fight at the line of scrimmage. So that's good. To me, that's a good thing. All right, we went through it. Let's hit a couple more supers and then we will bolt for the door. We got this one.
Okay.
We got this one from here. We got Scuba Pat. Larry would have traded back again from 33. Yeah, probably. Especially, I would have rolled the dice. I would have rolled the dice a little bit more, but I understand how they love stribbling. And you know what? If you got a guy that you love, I mean, I agree with Scott McLuhan. You know, what's worse, that you took the player that you wanted in the wrong slot, or you took a player that you didn't want? Take the player that you want. Get as many players that you want. I know there's going to be some reaches and there's going to be some times where you extend, but if you have the conviction on the player, then have the conviction. Choopy Wowie says, deep down, we all know we will never win a Super Bowl with Kyle.
We don't know that.
I don't know that. Dimitard says, just draft every year like position by position safety hierarchy ranked by historical hit rate and roster value, OT, DT, round 1, interior O-line, edge, round 2, etc. Hey, you know what? If they changed up their philosophy, it could hardly hurt them, right? I mean, they've had some real misses. Alex Maya says, yes, I've said this before. I want a dog fight. 100. Is he talking about Georgia?
I think so.
I think so. All right, that does it for us. Coach, awesome stream. We went 2 hours and 13 minutes. I'll give you the final word, and of course, if you want to promote anything, promote away. But man, the audience is loving it. I'm loving it. I hope you're enjoying it. Lots and lots of people watching. Over almost 1,200 people hanging out right now in the middle of a beautiful Saturday.
Well, awesome, man. Well, those of you who are watching and all of my guys over there for the heartbeat of the huddle, come on by to the Coach's Huddle. Check us out. We got weekly streams every day. We're trying our best to give you guys as much content as possible. And get in the comments, man. Tell me what you guys like, content, and give me critiques if you can. The next time we'll stream is you'll be able to see us on Monday for cover 2. Me and Jesse Naylor of Last Second Sports will be going in. And a little bit of announcement. I'm a part of the HMA family. So you'll be able to see me doing my live picks and my prize picks on the Coaches Huddle. We done came up in the world. Got a sponsor. Calvin got a job. So we looking all right right now. Feeling good.
Awesome to hear. The great stuff. Coach, thanks to all of you guys. I'm going to try to enjoy the rest of my Saturday, maybe outside a little bit. Maybe going to do a little barbecuing, maybe some steaks this afternoon. Going to watch some ball. May in the Bay. It's starting to be nice weather. What kind of weather you got in your corner of the world in May?
It's not that bad, man. It was like about 70 this morning, so we're good. We're locked in.
Nice. For Coach, I'm Krueg. Have a great one. Peace.
Peace. You love that damn thing.
Every single time.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.